Hey guys, a couple weeks ago we had a debate on modifications and what I wouldn't really do on my car. This kind of got me thinking of looking into what modifications can you do to your car and still be covered, and if you need to get any special insurance to be covered properly. I've discovered some pretty interesting stuff here. Now, I will start by saying every province and state has different guidelines, things that they will turn their head on. But with that being said, let's start with some definitions on what cars are covered. When you get basic or standard insurance, your daily driver, the insurance company assumes you will be using a stock vehicle. You can put minor upgrades such as radios, exhaust, wheels, etc. But if you ever had a claim, it is seldom that you get your full investment back because there is depreciation, and these parts are not under your policy and not recognized. Therefore, you most of the time never get your full money back. You will also have some form of classic or vintage insurance for your car, which is cars that are 15 years to 25 or even older and have certain things that they need, but generally they're used for personal use and have restricted usage. Like you can't take your kids to school, you can't take it to work, and so forth. And you get an insurance break generally on the cost of having these vintage or classic plates. And then you have the last form of insurance, which is generally a modified or altered insurance. This is where the factory car had either frame, suspension, drivetrain, engine, steering, brakes, or fuel type altered. And here's when you can get in trouble. Keep in mind, this is the worst case scenario. Now, here's the potential problem when you put aftermarket parts on any of your cars. You go to the parts store, for an example, and buy some Wilwood brakes. We're just using Wilwood as an example for this thing. You do a rear brake conversion on your daily driver or your muscle car or truck. The parts come with a statement basically saying these are off-road parts or these parts must be installed by a licensed mechanic. This gives the parts company and the store that sold you these parts a wash on liability. Should the parts be at fault, defective, anything goes wrong, their liability and their butts are covered. And I think we can all agree to this. According to the insurance companies that I've called in Canada and the States, any modifications done to the suspension frame, drivetrain, engine, steering, brakes, and fuel system requires a government inspection. This includes weld-on and bolt-on. Here in BC, it's the CVSE that does the inspections. Please check in the state or province that you're in and see if these apply for you as well. The only exceptions to the modifications that I've found here in BC is exhaust systems and upgrading drum brakes to disc brakes in the front, providing you are using factory brakes. If you're putting an aftermarket brake system in, you will require an inspection. So I've spoken to a few agents now on this topic, and this is what you're supposed to do. You buy the brakes. You get a certified shop to install them on your car or truck. You get a government inspection. They will record the modifications to your vehicle, and if it passes, they will instruct you if you can maintain your basic car insurance or you will need to apply for a modified vehicle status insurance. 9 out of 10 times you shouldn't have a problem at all and will be fully insured. Modifications like headers falls under exhaust, which they don't care about. Replacing your carburetor with a Holley or an Edelbrock, again, they don't seem to care about that. But when you add a fuel injection system to your car, this falls under fuel type and will require an inspection. One of the inspectors actually mentioned tire size. If you have a car that has a really big wide tires on the back like Pro Street style or just a really wide tire, this reduces ground pressure, which could cause the car to be a little unstable on the road. It's also seen as a modification to the car, and it can void your insurance. This is news to me. Who doesn't like a set of 295 50/15s on the back of their muscle car? In closing, the insurance companies has a gentleman's agreement that you follow these guidelines. It is not very obvious unless you really look for it or you ask the right question to the right person. And if they know that what they're talking about, they can lead you in the right direction. Because after all insurance companies are looking for a way out not to pay you or give you minimal on your claim. As for the speed shops and the parts places that sell you these parts, their butts are covered by the manufacturer putting that nice little piece of paper in the box with the parts you got, saying that these parts are for off-road use only or must be installed by a certified mechanic. So buyer beware. I don't care to get into a debate with anybody in regards aftermarket parts are better or not. This is not the point of this video. The point of this video is, if you're doing modifications to your car, check with your local insurance and make sure that you are covered. Worst case scenario. That's all. Because I found some really interesting stuff out that I've been doing on my car for the last 40 years that I didn't even think was an issue, which I will be fixing this winter, and you will be seeing videos on it.